Wow.
All right. Hello, everybody. This is Tom Randall. I want to welcome you to the webinar today. It's 10 o'clock, and I don't know your time is valuable. I got some more people logging on, of course, so I'll just start out a little short intro and housekeeping. First of all, thanks a ton for taking some time out of your valuable schedule and your day here to listen to me yap at you for a while this morning. And again, this is one of our Words of Wisdom WOW webinars, and I'll kind of joke about the fact that wow, I don't know if it's words of wisdom or just wow, I can't believe all the stuff he tries to jam into one webinar. So I'm guilty of that once in a while. But I do want to let you know that you will get the slides from the presentation today. We hopefully will have a recording that'll work, so you'll be able to have a backup. And also, I wouldn't be doing my job if I didn't tell you we got a great team here at GoldenCare to support you, some great sales tools to support you. So you can look up here on the slide there, 800-842-7799, and of course our agent website, goldencareagent.com, where you can see all these tools. And again, I do have a lot to go through today, and this is a follow-up webinar kind of from the first one we did last month, where our last WOW webinar was talking about plan and designing a plan. And on that one, best intentions, I plan on maybe going onto a site and going through and showing you how to do the actual e-app itself. So that being said, my intent is to get to that point, but I do want to know I saw some names on here of people who weren't on the first webinar, and I will let you know when you get the slides to this webinar, you're going to also get links so you can go and see that previous webinar if you didn't happen to be there, or just as importantly, if you need to see it again, because not that you want to listen to my voice, but the one thing I've learned from working with agents for so long is that it does sometimes take a couple times around just to get the confidence to go through and start presenting these products. They're so important that, again, I usually spend 5 minutes in my intro talking about how important it is to go out there and present this. But I do want you to know that we're committed to helping you. We've got a great team and we've got the great tools. And one of the reasons I show you some of these things a couple times is that I want you to have the confidence to take that first step. So again, with my little guy here that you've probably seen, if you've been on some of my webinars, we are drinking out of a proverbial fire hose once in a while. This is the closest thing I can get here, just when I Google drinking out of a fire hose, but he's a cute little guy anyway. But I do want you to know, remember, as I zoom through, especially some of these early slides, you will get the slides, okay? So it's not going to be something that I'm going through just to try to dazzle you and zap by or hide anything, especially when it comes to state availability on some of these products. But I do want you to know, and if you haven't figured that out already, you probably wouldn't be on this webinar. You know GoldenCare's past. We've been a leader in the long-term care industry forever. We've helped design the best plan out there right now. Mutual of Omaha's long-term care, and we've helped design several generations of other products before that. And we believe in the long-term care. We believe it's something that's so important. But now we've really extended our reach because of the changes in the industry. We've really extended the reach into this extended care or short-term care market out there. So when I say the short-term care, those are legitimately short-term care products that have a terrible name because everybody forgets how robust you can build these plans. Hopefully you've heard us preach that to you in the past. But I also kind of use extended care because as we go through, we know you're going to have to do a quick pivot, and we give you tools to do that, to go right into a home health care sale instead of a short-term care sale, because remember, those home health care sales are so easy to get in place. Literally just about every single person you talk to can at least get a really strong home health care only plan, and the vast majority of people you talk to will be able to get a short-term care plan that has facility and home care. And that's one of the reasons when we talk about the shifting market. Most of you on this call know, a lot of you on this call have been in the long-term care trenches or still are in those trenches, and you know that the market had to shift, right? Because you can't go out and do like I did. I've been blessed to be able to give a lot of live seminars to consumers, and nowadays you go out and you realize that about half the people in this place, I can't get them a policy because of the fact that they're already beyond the underwriting realm. So the shift was necessary, and it's something that we really think is important. And as these new plans, especially the short-term care and the newer plans out there, they're so strong, you guys, that I just can't stress enough. And I went through this slide on the last one, and I want to make sure that you see it. And I'm not going to spend a lot of time because I don't want to keep you here till noon. But I do want you to know that it really is different from long-term care plans. And one of the hardest shifts we had for agents is to go out and embrace these short-term care plans out there. And we were kind of the same boat. Jeff does a good job when Jeff Clark does our webinars. He's done a really good job of saying he was right there with them. Jeff still writes in business, and he said it took him a little bit to chew off that next part of the bone because he was used to selling long-term care plans, traditional plans for 4 or 5 year benefits. But once he really embraced the fact that, you know what, when I look back at my block of business, I didn't write that many long plans, especially recently. I wrote a lot of smaller long-term care plans. And then he realized, boy, when you look at the short-term care, you can really write some very robust plans. We always talk about our potential $1 million policy you can write with Omniflex for Manhattan Life, for example. So at the end of the day, short-term care has a lot of benefits over long-term care. It certainly doesn't have some of the unlimited benefits we sold in the old days, but nowadays, most plans we're selling are 3-year plans or below with long-term care because of the affordability and the underwriting, et cetera. So now when you look at it, again, without spending too much time on this, really short-term care is where it's at. The name, again, is one of the biggest weaknesses because a lot of Americans think short-term care means it only pays for 15 or 30 days out of a hospital. So your job is to go through it and remember to alleviate that objection and let people know, I'm selling you something maybe called a short-term care plan, but I'll tell you, we use the word extended care a lot because these plans are incredibly powerful. Okay, so that's all I'm going to say there. There's no special certifications. The underwriting is not a 45-page underwriting guide. And at the end of the day, one of the biggest strengths is right here. You don't have that 90-day certification that long-term care required at claim time. Remember, a doctor says you need help with 2 of 6 ADLs for at least 90 days. Short-term care plans and the home health care only plans don't have that 90-day certification. Plus, because they're built so robust these days, with these short-term care plans, ask yourself, if you had a loved one or you know how claims work, you pay premiums in, and those are valuable dollars out of your checkbook or your pocket or your savings. And at the end of the day, if you go on claim, number one, you can go on claim easier with short-term care because of that 90 days. But even when you go on claim for each policy, which would you rather have? These indemnity plans that say if you get care, you get paid a set dollar amount, and you get paid your money faster. Look at that slide. If you bought a $144,000 plan, a 1-year plan at $12,000 a month, let's just say you can get double that, remember, because you can have home health care and facility on the same claim with most of these plans, for sure, with our main plans. And remember, with this one, if we just looked at 1 year, would you rather get $144,000 in 1 year in case, God forbid, you got better, which is great, or God forbid you passed away or something? This one says, hey, you paid premium dollars in. Let's have a short and fat beaker and pay you as soon as possible because you paid in valuable premiums. Or with long-term care, more traditionally, if you had a 3-year plan at $4,000 a month, you'll still get the $144,000 if your claim lasted 3 years, but you get the money a lot quicker with short-term care. Does that make sense? I mean, that to me is one of the most logical reasons, and mainly right over here on the right-hand side, that no 90-day certification is huge. And remember, restoration of benefits with these short-term care plans, because you don't have the 90-day certification, you get things like, hey, if I have to have a hip replacement, knee replacement, auto accident, surgery, something that I need recovery time, I hit my ADL trigger, but I won't hit it for 90 days. Long-term care runs for the hills. Short-term care is there for you. Again, you can tell I'm a fan because I believe in these policies, and I certainly believe in this slide. Short-term care deserves a seat at the big boys table. It's that time. Right now, when you look at long-term care and hybrids, they're great solutions for a lot of people. But I'll tell you what, there's a lot of people who get missed by that ship passing by. And short-term care can be that filler that, number one, is not just for the people who can't get long-term care. We're seeing more and more often. Short-term care can be something that's going to go over there and butt check those policies and say, hey, not only am I at the big boys table, sometimes I'm the option first that agents are going to present because these plans are becoming so powerful and so viable today. Okay? So that being said, I'll get off my soapbox, but we do have a lot of great short-term care plans. We're not even showing our home health care only plans up here. These are just some of the short-term care plans in our portfolio here. And again, our premier product, no bones about it, is Omniflex Manhattan Life. It's available now in 35 states, and in Pennsylvania is just about to get approved, hopefully over the weekend. So we got a big, broad scope out there. And the other products we have, Wellaby's a great product out there. We've got Recover Cash from GTL. We've got Recovery Care from Aetna or Colonial Life, but Aetna is what most people think of when they think of that plan. And then there's Cigna out there that just came out. Cigna is a big name. Everybody knows who they are. They've got a new plan out there that's very strong, the Choice STC. And Baker's Fidelity's out there with Vantage Recovery as well. Needless to say, I'm not getting into product training today, but we do have all these plans available, and we have the ability to go out there and offer them in a really broad scope across the country. You'll get these slides. I'm not going to spend time talking about them, but for each of these products, you can see Aetna, 34 states, Bankers, 27, Cigna, so far this is the newer plan that's going to be released in more states. So far they're in 18. GTL, 37. Omniflex, 36 after Pennsylvania, which should be coming around the bend this weekend, hopefully, or next week. Again, they do their last-minute testing there, but again, we'll be at 36 for Omniflex. Wellaby is a newer product out there that's going to expand, obviously. They're in 24 states right now, but they will have a bigger, broader reach, okay? So that being said, again, I went through that fast, and if you're trying to scribble notes, you'll drive yourself crazy, but I do want you to know they're available in a lot of states. And now I'm going to try to do something that I haven't done before, so we'll see how it works out. But originally, we're going to do a demonstration based totally on what you guys come back with. But I decided when I was planning for this last night and this morning that I do want to make sure we show for sure Manhattan, because when we show you some of our other sales tools, we show how easy it is, because the underwriting's so broad with Manhattan Life's Omniflex plan. So I'm going to for sure show you Manhattan Life again, and then I hopefully will have a chance to show you another one, or I promise you this, we will have recorded webinars showing you how to design e-apps for every one of these policies out there, okay? Excuse me. So that being said, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to real quick, my staff will laugh at me because I always am old man learning new tricks here. I'm going to try to launch this poll, and we'll see if it works. If it doesn't work, I apologize. So I clicked launch. And I didn't see anything, Lynn, so it may not be working. There it is. Okay, hold on. Poll in progress, distributing poll. So hopefully it says you're seeing this. And we have people voting, so that's a good sign. So it means people are voting. Good job. So go ahead and vote for the one that you would like to see either in the future or today. And again, I just was warning you ahead of time. I may end up doing Manhattan for sure anyway. And so far, I'm seeing 80% of the people are choosing Manhattan, 71%, 73%. And I'm not going to keep you too long on this. It looks like 80% plus. Great job. Way to participate, you guys. We had a lot of people voting for that. And I don't even want to show it because it'll feel bad if I show this. I'm going to put manage polls and see if I can show it. No, I don't know if I can. Collect your responses. Polls in progress. Close the poll. Hold on. Bear with me. Lynn's going to come running in here any second and say, Tom, you don't know what you're doing, do you? Go here. Bear with me. If we're editing this later, we can hide this part. There's that. There's that. Now I'm going to share it. So hopefully you guys can see this. If you can, I'll tell you what you're seeing. 71% of the people said Omniflex, and 12% said Wellaby. Didn't get a lot of votes for the other ones this time around, but either way, I am going to go out and show you those on a recorded webinar. Okay? Well, that was a little kludgy. Sorry, I got to work on my skills here on the presentation side. But either way, again, it's important to understand the full thing, and that's really what I wanted you guys to see with this is, as we go through, I want you to have the tools available to be confident to go out and be successful starting the conversation and closing sales. And you know we have a lot of training, and I'll show you some of that stuff today as well before we get into the Manhattan site. But I do want you to know, if you have the opportunity, what we're trying to tell people, if you're selling final expense or Medicare subs or anything else, Medicare Advantage, as you finish up the actual sale, what you do on a day-to-day basis if you're not in the extended care trenches the way it is to bring up the conversation. And we show you real easy ways to do that on some of our previous webinars. And, you know, if you have time before and you know you're going to meet with somebody, it does help to have confidence to plan ahead. Maybe you can do a couple pre-quote potentials because you know the ages and maybe even the health of the people out there that you're meeting with. Not always, and you don't have to, because we show you how easy it is to go out and do this on the spot, just starting a conversation with anybody you happen to be talking to, okay? Same token with that pre-screen. Huge deal in long-term care, as a lot of you know. With short-term care, we say, yeah, we have it there for you, but you don't really need to go that far because the underwriting is so drastically different than what we had with long-term care, okay? And when you're starting the conversation on the spot, remember, you don't have to have our presentation. I'm going to walk through that really briefly. That's what we did on our last WOW webinar. We walked through that presentation. And we always try to tell you, hit the simple button. You're starting on the 20-yard line with these type of products. You don't have to go all the way from your own end zone and go all the way 100 yards down the field like we did with long-term care. With these products, you don't need to go as far. So we just want you to have the confidence to know the tools are there if you need them. We have some of those statistics and some of those stats and some of those conversation starters available if you need them. Same thing with the rate sheets, and I'm going to show you that in a second as well. So you can have these rate sheets available. We don't tell you when you overload people with information when you're at the consumer level. It sometimes gets so confusing that we prefer you really don't do a lot with the rate sheets in front of your client. Some of you might. But again, we want them there because one of the main reasons, I know agents, I don't bring it up because I know the first question they're going to say is, all right, what's extended care? Yeah, I haven't planned for it. You got me there. How much about is this? And a lot of agents are nervous because they're going, you know, I don't even know a ballpark to start telling people. So we have rate sheets available that you can go through. And again, I'll show you those in a second, just real briefly, just to have a conversation, to look at any age and say, you know, these plans, I can design an affordable plan for you no matter what. And that's my main key. I don't want you to buy something you can't afford. Here's about a price range, right? So we have that available for you. One of the main reasons I put this slide in here today is right here. Make sure you have your logins and passwords ready, right? If you're going to go through and you get somebody leaning in who suddenly says, all right, let's move forward, you don't want to say, oh, sorry, I don't have any idea how to get into that Wellaby site or how to get into the Aetna site or whatever it might be. So have your passwords ready. And finally, if you want the InstaPivot, that's our underwriting tool that you guys know about, hopefully, or StrataCision, make sure you know that we have them available, okay? Here's just a screenshot of the rate sheets. I guess this is as easy as any to show you. This is the select home health care only plans. Remember, the underwriting for these are tremendously easy. Everybody you're going to meet basically will be able to get these type of plans. If you're not getting care today and you're not in a facility, this is a really easy way to say, hey, to start with, these plans are so affordable, it's not even funny because they have a prescription drug reimbursement, so I can get them to you for basically free for the first age band here. These home health care plans go up in age bands. The short-term care plans do not go up in age bands. So remember that difference as an agent, right, as we go through. So the home health care only plans will go up in age bands, but the other plans that we're talking about, short-term care, don't. Look at these prices just for yourself. Even over here on the deluxe side for Manhattan Life with the $600 reimbursement there, that's $50 off of these numbers. So again, it's free for a 65 to 69-year-old who has some meds. So again, I won't go too deep in there. I just want to show you we have them. We have this available for GTL, short-term home health care only. We have it available for Manhattan's. Omniflex plan, same thing here. These rates are stable though. They don't go up with age bands. So they go up based on the application age, of course, but once it's in place, the premium stays guaranteed renewable, right? So you can see here, prescription drugs with the Omniflex. Keep that in mind. Those aren't reflected in the rate. So $25 off whatever you're seeing down here. Okay. Again, I'm going through this fast. You'll get these slides, but I wanted to make sure you knew we had them available for you. Same thing with the InstaPivot tool. I'm certainly not going to spend time on that today, but it is available for you out there so that you can go out and have it available at the time if you need it for underwriting. But I'm going to show you with our tool that we use. I'm going to go jump out right away to the presentation here. And don't worry, I'm going to get into the site and show you, but this is all part of plan design and EAP. Remember, this is the pivot. We call this our Omniflex pivot presentation. And basically what we did here is made it easy. We put some stats in here. Again, I'm flying through this because this isn't what this training is mainly about today, but we have facts available for you if you need them. We talked a lot about the last one when we'll get you a link to the recorded webinar where we say don't spend time just zapping facts at people. Have a conversation. We talk a lot about that. If you need to have the Medicare to show people it's not covered by Medicare, you can jump over and do our links in this presentation to get you there, right? So the main thing I wanted to show you today is how you lead in to actually starting to do an actual EAP, okay? So with this presentation, again, I can't go through the whole thing again today or we won't have time, but remember the steps of the process. You're telling people, I want to find out. You buy these more with your health than you do with your checkbook, but it's way easier than what you might think. So the first thing to remember is don't worry about your health. Remember, guys, people worry about their health and they worry about starting a conversation because they're thinking, oh my gosh, I'm not as healthy as I'd like to be. Now he's going to embarrass me by talking about some of my ailments. Make sure you tell them, don't worry, I can get some great protection for you. As long as you're not getting care today and you're not in a facility, I have something that'll help you. Those are those home health care only plans. Then as you go further, remember we talked in that last presentation, if you were with us or you see the recording, you can go into the InstaPivot tool or you can go to any application. But again, we tell you, because Omniflex is so simple, it's one of the reasons it's our fastest seller by far, because of the fact it's so simple to get in and have a conversation with somebody. I won't repeat what I did the last webinar and go through that conversation today, but it's right in the presentation. I could go through, these are the knockout questions. So remember the word knockout when we get into the EAP. These are the knockout questions. And then these are the tier 2 to see if you can offer either a $3,000 maximum plan for the base facility, $3,000 for the home health care, and up to $100 per day for hospital indemnity. If you answer yes to these, you have to limit it. Most people, 90% plus, won't answer yes to these either. 90% of the people you're in front of will be able to get a full-blown $400 per day facility and $300 per day home health care with Omniflex. So remember, we took 3 years to design this plan with Manhattan Life because of the fact is the underwriting is so strong. It's such a nice underwriting net that we threw it so we can cover a lot of people. Not saying you're limited to this Omniflex, but again, this presentation is geared that way because it's oftentimes the easiest application to jump through as well, okay? The reason I came back to show you this today is that I wanted to show you, if you're using this presentation especially, you remember you can always go over to the resources page. And in this presentation, very confusing looking slide, but it has everything you need from answering objections over here, talking about the power of the Fast 50 in Omniflex, more short-term care stats if you want to talk about strokes and recovery and cancer, etc. All of that is in here, so take a peek at it. Not to mention pretty much everything you'd ever want to know about anything to do with extended care, right? And all the links to the different carriers are in here as well. But the nice part about that, every slide page has this resources little document page on there, and you can jump right back to wherever you were. So that's one of the things agents love about this presentation. Here's the needs analysis form. If you happen to want to do that, you probably don't need to. Here's InstaPivot. If you want to use InstaPivot tool and go deeper into underwriting to find out what plans are available in what states, you can do that. Excuse me. Or you can go right over at this point and go into the sales part of it with Omniflex. And you can go right to Omniflex's main site. If you click on Manhattan Life here, it's going to send you right out to the Manhattan site, and you can start using that from there. So again, that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to spend the rest of my time, but remember, walk through this presentation. Remember to go through and see. You can go all the way through the progression of care if you want to, but again, these products are so simple, oftentimes you don't have to, and you'll jump right to the Manhattan site page on there, okay? So I'm going to today just going to jump over, and I'm going to go over to the site, and at this point, I guess I'm going to have to go this way anyway. So I'm going to go into, this is just my password manager. You could have typed in, just click that button, but I'm just going to jump in. You'll have your own login, of course. And when you get to that page, mine automatically will log me in, hopefully. And again, I'm on a webinar, so mine will be running a little bit slower. But at this point, I want to jump in, and I didn't show you StrataCision either because StrataCision is an easy way to go in and show different quotes. But I'm looking at my clock, and I just want to make sure I go through this EAP first, and then I might come back to StrataCision, because one of the things you'll see is from the short-term care site, if you go down to it, if you go to integritystc.com, here's InstaPivot, the underwriting tool, here's StrataCision. You can link right into those. And those are login sites because these tools are over a $500 value annually that we let you use for free if you're appointed with us or our partners. So these are nice tools that we do have a login. The rest of the site has all the different information you might need on any of these different products, okay? So StrataCision, I think I have that open. This is what StrataCision looks like, and I'll go through this maybe at the end of the day if I decided that we have time, if I'm not boring you to tears. But we have a great training that Lynn did in our office. Lynn Voss did a fantastic job of training on how to go StrataCision, and she did all of these carriers in there. And we'll send a link to that as well, so you guys will see how easy it is to use StrataCision to do quotes for any of the different carriers. Okay. Now we got to the point where maybe I did a quote, or I had a pre-quote done, or I used my sample quote pages, and I know that I'm going to move forward with Manhattan Life, okay? So once I get to that and I log in, I just put access the EAP. And again, because I'm on a webinar, this will take a couple extra seconds than what you'll see on your screen, hopefully. Again, this is where it bogs down, because I got a lot of bandwidth going with a lot of things open, and going over on a webinar, it always slows it down. Hopefully you see it there. And once I get to that site, it'll show some of the apps you have in process, and then you go to quote. And once I get to the quote screen, I'm just going to go ahead here, and I'll put in Missouri. So the zip code, what this is doing is they use this for all their different products. So you're going to put a zip code in, and then it'll show you, for St. Peters, Missouri in this case, all the different products that they have available once I get to that stage, okay? So the next thing they're asking is for the date of birth of the primary person that you're going to insure. I'm just going to put, maybe I'll use a 61-year-old, and it does show you the age here to make sure it checks your oil. Male and female, some of the ones will have different rates for male or female. Our short-term care and our home health care don't. They're unisex rates, but it does ask you that because in case you pivot over to a different product, it may matter whether they're male or female. Same thing with the effective date. If I'm doing mom and dad on the same one, sometimes I'll bump this out a week or so, just to make sure that I don't have any problems where one of them gets approved and the other one didn't get approved in time. So it makes it a little bit easier with bank drafts, etc. So usually I'll bump this out a week, and I might say, you know what, if it's today's the 19th, let's just make it the 26th, if that's okay. And I'll go the 26th. Then they have dependents down here. A lot of agents, it doesn't matter if you type it in, it doesn't throw you off too bad. If you type in mom's name here or dad's name, so I put female first. So if I put dad's name here as a spouse, that's fine, but you don't have to, okay? This is more for dependents for life insurance products, etc. So I'm just going to click View Products, and now it's going to show me, and again, I'll try to wait because I know you might be delayed. It's going to show me all the products that are available there in Missouri. And you can see here's Omniflex, here's their Home Healthcare Select. I can click on Home Healthcare Select right now, and I could have a quote done in a heartbeat because it's really very few options with that. I'm going to go into Omniflex today because it's a few more steps, but it's worth showing you that so you feel comfortable at the time of writing your first application. Okay? Omniflex Short-Term Care. To qualify for a spousal discount, you or your spouse who reside with you in the same household have a short-term facility care or are applying for one. Okay? So I'm going to put yes here because I want to just really quickly show you how easy it is. I'm going to put in Joe Fakey for the last name and date of birth. Maybe I'll make Joe 65-year-old for the, well, I'll make him 55-year-old. 1969 should do it. And I'm going to put add spouse. Okay. Now it'll get me to this stage and it'll say, do I want to do a quick quote? And again, for your time's sake, I want to show you the full quote process today. But if I do a quick quote, it'll skip all the underwriting questions and it'll just go into designing a plan. So I'm going to see that same thing over on full quote, but I'm going to go through the underwriting today to show you how easy it is to do a full application. Okay, so here I am on Omniflex, do full quote, click that button, and now it's going to say, in the last 24 months, have you used any tobacco products? I can put yes, and I'm going to be able to get a full-blown policy still, hopefully, but this will give you a 10% 10% premium load if you use tobacco products, okay? Then down here it's going to say, within the last 24 months, have you been diagnosed with or received treatment for a TIA, stroke, etc. I'm not going to read all these to you today. I know you probably can't read them on your screen. All I want you to know is these are right off the application, right off the Omniflex application that I showed you previously. These are the secondary questions, these knockout questions that are, not knockout questions, but to find out if you get a full-blown plan or not. That's what these are, the part 2 questions. That's the reason, you guys, that I told you, use a presentation or have your app open and do this ahead of time so that you don't have any surprises when you get into the e-app. Do it ahead of time and it makes your life a lot easier, because now I'm just going to look across the table or over the phone and say, Jim and Betty, remember earlier I asked you all these questions? You guys said no at that point, so I'm just going to make sure that you're okay with me filling these out right now, because we already decided you didn't say yes to any of these, so I'm going to click no quickly on that, and that'll allow us to provide you a full-blown plan if we want, with the up to $400 per day facility, okay? So now I'm in the actual process where I can start designing a plan. Very simple to do with this product. You can see here, I'm just going to use a $200 per day facility. Here's the benefit period. Again, you might not be able to read this perfectly, so I'm going to speak it to you as well. But watch how fast I can go through this. If I didn't break the fourth wall or the third wall and start talking to you as agents, you can go through and do this really quickly with your clients. So the elimination period, we have lots of options. I'm going to stress to you, because the way these plans are made, I love first day coverage across the board. Highly recommend you take off your long-term care hat. Don't use 90 days as much, maybe 20 days. But tell you what, for the premium loads on these plans, I've designed a lot of these. The 0 days is really a smart way to go, because it covers so many things at claim time that people will be so glad they got a 0 day plan. So I urge you as an agent, peek at this and see if it's something they can afford, because they'll be glad they did. Okay, as far as I'll go on that today. So 0 days, 360 day, $200 for the facility. I can glance down here right away and see for a monthly, for my monthly premium, $54 so far for my applicant. It automatically calculates that. Most people buy these not for facility, but for home care, right? So I'm going to throw on a $200 per day. Most of the time you'll do $300 here, but I'll just throw a $200 per day for the home care on here. And I do 360 days and 0 days again. Again, I'm not getting too deep into plan design on this one, because some people, this is our most common plan. If I were to throw this out to $300 per day, and maybe this up to 300 or 400 is probably our most common plans we sell. Okay, so in this case, I'm doing 200 across the board, because that's what Lynn used on her Stratecision training. That's the reason I did that, okay? So now with the home care, I can add a hospital indemnity on there if I want to, and that's real easy to do. If I click on add that rider, you can see there's the sliding bar, and I could add 3, 6, or 20 days for up to $300 for the hospital indemnity. I'm not going to do it this time to keep things simple. Same thing with simple inflation, 2 times max. I could add that on there as well. I'm not going to just keep things easy today. And you can look down here and see for $76.90 so far for my 61-year-old. Doesn't matter if it's male or female. This happens to be mom, 61 years old. In this case, very, very affordable. Why is dad showing at $81 for a combined total? Because so far, all they know about dad is his age, right? All they know is Joe Fakey's 55 years old. So right now, I can go in here and design a totally separate plan for dad if I want to, or I can go in and click this set coverage same as spouse button over here, same as applicant, and it'll automatically give me the same coverage that I applied for, because most agents do it that way. You don't have to, but it's an easy way to quickly get there, okay? So now I can see the combined total, $126, really affordable. That's before using that $300 each for the meds that they'll reimburse there, $25 a month. So you can see there, we could be down to more of a $75 range after using the prescription drug reimbursement that starts right away after the effective date, okay? Very affordable plan. Again, if it's not affordable, you're talking to your people, you can adjust these. real easily on the spot, and you can have separate policies. At this point, I could go and view a proposal, and it would give me a very nice printed proposal out if I wanted to. I'm not going to show you that today because of the fact I want to get this through in a reasonable amount of time. I'm going to begin the enrollment. Okay, so now I have a plan, and I'm just going to show you how easy this is to do an enrollment here. Everything's very intuitive. These green bars are nice because you see the green bars will tell you that things are looking good. So now I'm going to go through, and the first thing we're at is the applicant. Remember, so far all I put is their zip code and their date of birth. So they don't even know the first name of Betty Fakey yet. So I'm going to type in Betty Fakey's name. I will tell you this much. Because they do a med check on this, they do need the social security number. So make sure you just explain that to people, saying the reason I'm asking for your social is that part of the process is that they're going to go through and look at your medications. So I'm going to ask you about those later on. It's important we do a good job there, but that's the reason I need your social. Most people won't bucket at if you're at the time of the application, right? So I'm going to put in their street address, anywhere street. It already knows they're in St. Peter's because of the zip code, right? Then we do want to have a phone number in there, so I'm going to put a phone number in. Very easy stuff. Once I push tab there, this turned green over on the right-hand side, so I know I'm looking good. I could type validate in here, and it would check my oil. But for now, I'm just going to say next because I saw my green ribbon, and I'm feeling pretty good about life. Okay? Now it's asking me some other types of questions here, right? Do you have any similar coverage? This isn't a knockout. It's just saying, do you have any similar coverage? If you say yes, it'll ask for the policy, and it'll say if maybe that state has replacement forms and all that stuff that you might have to divulge. In this case, most of your clients, you're not going to have any existing coverage in force yet. So I'm going to click no for this example. Now they get into some other health questions, right? Notice on these it says if you answer yes, you're not eligible for coverage. Guess what these questions are? These are these questions on the app that I showed you already, and the reason I told you, if I were you, I would go through and ask these questions before I even get to the e-app. These are the knockout questions. These are the super broad where almost everybody you meet will get through them, but you want to find out for sure so you don't waste your time or your client's time or have a disappointment at this time of the application process, okay? So that's what these questions are. If I'm in this with my clients, all I say is, Jim and Betty, remember I went through these earlier and we decided you didn't have any of these health conditions. So with your permission, I'm now going to read these all to you in length because they're identical to what I already showed you. I'm just going to go down and click no for these. Now remember, as you're clicking no, make sure you remember, don't go crazy because the last question down here, I wouldn't have designed it this way if I had total control, but I didn't. Down here, if I click no, 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 I'm going to skip over the medical application questions on the medications, okay? So remember, that's down here at the bottom, so don't get too crazy with your no's. In this case, I'm going to put no for one of them. I'll put yes for the other to show you what it looks like. These are the medications. And here again, I do tell people, this underwriting is so easy, as you've already seen. I know you're going to get a policy based on what we put in there, but I do want to make sure we ask you on any medications that you might have. So in that case, this is the only part that takes a little bit of time. If let's say somebody's on Lipitor and the prescription date, this one is one of the things you notice a lot. People won't know exactly when it's prescribed. It asks for month, day, and year. Don't worry about this part. We've already talked to Manhattan. We know that people say, well, I started Lipitor, I think, in about 2015. I don't remember exactly when it was. Okay, Lipitor, as you guys probably know, is cholesterol medicine. Put down your dosage, medical one time per day. The diagnosis, make sure you put that in there just to make sure. Cholesterol is always a fun thing to spell, right? Cholesterol. They're not going to hold up your app if you spell it wrong. Don't worry. The onset date, when did you get diagnosed with high cholesterol? Nobody's going to remember exactly. Just tell them, take a shot at it. I usually put January and say, well, that was probably 2015, same time I got my first prescription, okay? Don't lose sleep on that. Make sure you remember that. You don't have to panic if you don't remember exactly when it is. Push plus, then you can add in more meds here. For time's sake today, I'm not going to, but remember, the beautiful part about doing this, and I tell my agents to tell your clients, the nice part about Omniflex, especially because they have that prescription drug reimbursement, guess what? Lipitor is a brand name for atorvastatin for one of those statin drugs. You'd get $25 back every time it was refilled throughout the year. So if you have quarterly, 3 times it's refilled, you can tell your client, thanks for giving me that information, by the way. It's not going to stop you from getting a policy. And in this case, you're going to get back $25 times 4 for each time you get it refilled. You got $100 off your annual premium just for that one med. Make sense? So same thing as you're going through, it makes the medications less painful if you got to type in 4 or 5 of them, because you know you're banking dollars for your client on that reimbursement with Omniflex. Make sense? All right, I'm going to save time, go back, and I'm going to stop there. I'm going to click next, and it's going to say, way to go, you got through that part, and the application questions are done. Now I go into email consent. You can push in email consent, and all you have to do is type in their emails, and they're going to send information via email, which most of your clients nowadays will be great with. To save time today, I'm going to decline, just because I didn't want to type in email addresses while you're listening to me. Okay? Dependents. Now it has this red mark here saying, what's going on? My dependent's not green. I thought I already put in Joe's information. Nope, all I put in at the beginning was Joe's name and his birth date. So now I want a complete information, and all it's going to say is, guess what? What do we need? His gender, male, and his social security number. So you do have to put in a social security number. Why? Because we want to make sure we're doing his meds. Same thing with his phone number. Again, if I skip one of these steps, all it's going to do is give me a little red thing that I have to do it still. But in this case, I got my green, and it says I could edit it if I want, but otherwise my green is here showing me that things are looking up. I'm doing great. Okay. Now I go to the payment information. Again, this is super simple. When I get to the payment information, you can see here, payment easy for me to say, payment method, EFT. Most of you are going to be writing monthly EFTs. So now I go down to configure, and it says, okay, the first thing I want to do is make sure we don't have a delay later on. So look at your checkbook, Jim and Betty, and give me that routing number. That's the routing number that most of you nowadays are real familiar with, so I won't spend any more time on that. I'm going to put in a routing number here that I have listed. This happens to be in Wells Fargo for St. Paul. It'll automatically validate it. So now we're looking good, right? Is this a checking or savings account, Bill and Jim and Betty? It's a checking account. I can put in the account number off their checkbook, and then I say, what day do you want it withdrawn? Remember, I put in the date when I did the original thing. I put it in as the 26th. Makes life really easy if I can match that date. You don't have to, but it makes life as easy as possible if I match that effective date that I pushed out a few days. So I'm going to put the 26th, and then it's going to say what name's on the account, and I'm going to put Joe and Betty Fakey. It could be a business account or something else, of course, as well. Okay, so now I'm going to save that, and then it's going to go back and say, do I want to use a different account for either of them, or if I write other products, I'm going to say just use that same bank information for all the products that I use for Jim and Betty. Look at how easy that was. The beneficiary information is done. The payment information is done. I got a lot of green over here. I'm starting to feel pretty good. Now it goes down to beneficiaries. Again, all the products that they offer use this same insured applicant beneficiary. So if I did life insurance, it's super important. This is just for unearned premium for this plan. So for me, I might leave it as a state, or I can designate the beneficiary and put their names for each of them. Totally up to you. Most of the time, not a huge deal for the little bit of unearned premium if somebody passes away. Okay? For today, I'm just going to take the easy way out and put a state. Then it goes through and asks you the authorization question, same thing that's on the application, the same exact verbiage. So it goes through, and you make sure you go through this with them, obviously, like you would usually with any product. Then the nice part about this is the signature product. Hey, Betty, you're the primary applicant. What's your mother's maiden name? Okay, your mother's maiden name is Fakist. Joe, your mother's maiden name is Fakey. And all I do is type that in, and because they have their social security numbers, they can do it just based on that. So look at this. When I type tab, my authorization and certificate and signature line is done. Some of the other products out there obviously have to have a text, or you have to have an email, or you have to have a phone call for signatures. This is about as easy as you get, and it's one of the reasons that this is one of the big favorites out there with Omniflex again. If I want to have agent notes in here, I can type them in here and they'll see them at the home office. Most of the time you probably won't need to, but you could. Then I go down here and it says agent number selection. I can do app splits here. In this case, this is our GoldenCare, our National Independent Brokers number. You'll show your name here and your number, okay, for both of these. If I wanted to, I could go in and again split agent splits for commissions down here if they're in my hierarchy. I'm not going to do that today. All I have to do is my agent signature. Last thing I'm going to tell you on this, make sure you pay attention. Agent statement. I, the undersigned agent, also certify that to the best of my knowledge, replacement is involved at this time. Guess what? If I could write that myself, I probably wouldn't have wrote is. I would have wrote is or is not, or I would have said is not involved. But in this case, make sure you just click no. If you click yes, then it's going to make you jump through a couple extra hoops and ask about replacement. Okay. Then down here, I certify I'm not lying to you. This will have your name in here, of course. Click the button, and because I logged in with my secure login, it's good enough for me just to click that button and I'm done. Look at how easy that was, you guys. I spent a lot of extra time talking to you as agents, but if I was going through with just Joe and Betty and I'd already designed the plan and I knew where I was going, you can get this whole thing from front to finish done in 10 minutes. It's very, very easy to do. So now I click next, and it's going to go through and say, okay, everything's good here. I have a quote that I'm doing. Here's my quote information and my premium information. And again, I could go through here and save it, or I could click submit application. I'm not going to submit it today because literally it would go through and Omniflex, the team at Manhattan Life, would start underwriting, wondering what's going on with Joe and Betty. So I'm not going to click that today, but that's how easy it is for you. I can click save here at any time in the process, and it's going to say, what do you want to save it as? And I could go through and save this as whatever name I wanted to, if I wanted to go back later on and reference this, etc. So I can click save. Okay. So it didn't submit it by saving it. It's just going to be there for me to find it later. If I click submit app, we're there. Okay. Look how easy that is. And again, I can't stress enough, that's the power of these plans. All the different carriers you have, again, we'll show you a link to the STRATecision. I'm not going to go there today because I'm at my 45 plus mark, but I will tell you, that's how easy these things are to do for you as an agent. That one was one of our most popular with Omniflex, but we'll have recorded sessions available for you for all the different products that we have. And check out Lynn's great webinar she did on STRATecision that'll show you how easy it is on the run that you can go through and get some ideas for all the different products that we have available basically for you out there in the short-term care arena. Okay. And I wish I had time to go and spend more time on that because it's a really slick little tool, and it's again valued at about $500 a year that's free for our agents. These guys, I won't have to talk to you about them because a lot of you know them already. Best team in the industry. I'm a little bit biased, but I think I'm telling the truth. We got a great marketing support team here, a lot of legs on these folks. They've been around a while. Most of them are really, really savvy, and they understand this industry as well as anybody out there you'll talk to. So feel free to contact us, email them. You can see this on the slide. This one, I'm just going crazy. Last minute, I typed this in. I really appreciate you taking the time to jump on my webinar today, and I want you to be confident to take the first step. I usually get on a soapbox and spend 5 minutes telling you, we are in a very honorable profession. We have so much Americans that are in trouble, a lot of gray hair, a lot of problems with politics, whether you're left, right of the aisle, Medicare, Medicaid, those budgets are in trouble. We know Social Security is in trouble. We know that we're not going to be able to have this entitlement society where everybody just gets taken care of. They're going to have to plan ahead. So your job as an agent is hugely important. And I want you to feel comfortable to go out and offer these plans. So my team's going to come in and yell at me right after this, but I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and we're going to offer $200 for the first app. If it's the first app, you've already written, then sorry, we have our regular promotions that might be in place. But if it's your first time, you have to be appointed with GoldenCare. There might be some limitations, so I'm sorry if you're with an agency that doesn't allow us to pay you extra bonuses, then we obviously can't do it. You'll know who you are probably. Talk to my team, call in and find out. But this is one you got to track on your own. But if you're just getting appointed with one of these carriers and you go out and scratch the first app, because we know how agents think. If you write your first app, then you'll realize, wow, this is way easier. I should have been doing this a year ago. We want to make sure you know, write the first app, and you'll probably be like most of our agents that once you write one, you start writing another. So I'm gonna throw $200 on the table. If it's your first app for any one of these carriers, you know, let's be reasonable. Make it a $1,000 minimum. Don't go out and just beat the system, but go out there and within your first 30 days of getting appointed, or 30 days from now after this webinar, if you're already appointed, go out and scratch that first app. I have a little urgency on there just so we don't have to track this for 3 years. But $200 extra over and above all your commissions. And don't forget your commissions, you guys. This isn't a hobby. We know that by helping people, you're doing a huge service. And with most of these plans, pretty much anyone you're looking at here, if you write, you know, a $1,500 policy annually, you're going to get that much back in commissions over just a few years in most cases, because these pay really strong first year and strong renewals as well. So these plans really pay well for agents and give you that really strong renewal stream that you can build up and be tremendously happy and successful over time. So went a little longer there. Again, that's just my staff. Don't worry. Remind us that once you write it, you got to give us a nod and call Jeff or John or wherever you're working with here and let them know that Tom was jumped overboard and gave you that extra bonus, because I do think it's important. So that being said, gets me into my awkward close. Remember, you need to take the next step. If you're not appointed already, or if you don't have these products in your portfolio already, get them in your portfolio. Let us use the tools we have, and let us show you how easy it is to start the conversation. We have training on our website for all of those things: how to start the conversation, how to answer objections, how to use our presentation. That we have the rates sheets out there for you. Everything is there that you need to be successful. It's just you taking that next step that's sometimes so hard to do, to realize as an agent, if you're in long-term care, that these products are just as strong and sometimes stronger. And for an agent, if you're not in any of these plans, to realize this is such a necessary step, and it's so important for you to take the next step and go out there and get out of your comfort zone just a little bit. And again, hopefully you saw today, it's pretty simple once you do it, but you do have to take that first step. So this is Tom Randall, getting off my soapbox again, but this is Tom Randall telling you thank you so very much for taking time out of your valuable day to listen to me, and hopefully you'll take the next step and talk to our team and get rolling with these products. Thanks everybody. Have a great day.
GoldenCare is always here to serve you with new tools, new products, new ideas, and new innovations, and always the best support in the business to help you succeed. So give us a call at 800-842-7799 and check out our website at www.goldencareagent.com.